Hey folks, Professor Diffley, History 100, Chapter 6, final video, Lecture Video 4. So just moving back, just to show you where we are. We stopped with the Roman state and Christianity, their views of it. One of the big things, though, is these early persecutions and martyrdom of the Christians there. Romans, again, their public religion is that it's all about protecting Rome and ensuring its prosperity. Christians were a threat to that. So whenever there was a problem, they usually blame the Christians. Nero blames the Christians for the burning of Rome. Others are going to blame Christians for everything. Martyrs, Greek for witness, denotes anyone who dies for their religion or religious beliefs. You can read the story of Perpetua in the text. And then what we're going to cover next, and again, really rely on the textbook for the crisis of the 3rd century, is they are going to be blamed for everything, the Romans. Interestingly, this persecution actually won the Christians' followers in respect because of the way they were willing to sacrifice and die for what they believe in. And also, whenever you persecute something and make it seem taboo, it often leads people to want to do it. But eventually, Decius and others are going to require Romans to swear public oath to its public gods. And this is a actual one on the right here about, you had to have this to say that you had major sacrifices to the state religion. If you were refused, you were persecuted, tortured, killed until, if you switched over. This also creates a hierarchy in the Christian church. You begin to see this in Rome with the Catholic Church. Church leaders, they define Christian doctrine, like what people believed in. You can see, if you read in the text and see the videos, there were lots of different beliefs on what Christianity actually was. But this is one of the important things here. Bishops, really local leaders, and eventually they'll become political leaders. Why do we have a pope in Rome for Catholics? The idea, why are they the head of the church? It's this apostolistic succession. The idea, bishops, Peter is the bishop of Rome, one of Jesus' followers, and so he becomes the pope. And that's how they all trace their power back to the apostles. They're the next ones in there. Women actually had a large and equal place in the early church, but as it becomes more Romanized, they adopt a lot of their anti-women equality rules there. And you could see where Christianity really started. It was mostly an urban religion at first. Crisis of the 3rd century, essentially, Rome becomes invaded more and more from the north and the east, so they're dealing with influx of refugees, but also wars. Fiscal crisis, emperors had just drained the treasuries. They began to debase coinage. What that means is, say we have $1 coin, it's worth $1 because whatever metal is in there is worth $1. What they start doing is cutting, like say it's a silver coin, instead of putting $1's worth of silver in there, they would put, say, 50 cents worth, and then they would still say it's $1 coin. So now, if you're selling things, say it was $1 before, now you want 2 coins, right? Because that's the only way you're actually getting the silver. Rome stops expanding, and this is really the biggest thing. Rome is spending so much money from this point on its army to just defend its borders. When Rome expanded, it took over new areas, brought in new wealth. Now that it's just sitting there, they're just maintaining this military with very little to do and not bringing any more money into the empire. Then you get all these generals and would-be emperors. At one point, there's like 11 of them who claim they're emperor at the same time. Pretty much, in the crisis of the 3rd century, what becomes the, what are the qualifications to be emperor? It's have an army, have legions, and people would fight it over. Then you get natural disasters, plagues, natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes. This is also, you begin to see some climate change. During the Pax Romana, you had a warming period, and so you had longer growing seasons. During the 3rd century, you begin to get it cool a bit, and so the less rain and less growing seasons. So that means less food. That's going to create all problems. You also have more and more poverty, and you get these latifundia, the large slave plantations throughout Rome, and more people find themselves, pretty much indebted, and these will later become the serfs of Europe, which we'll see later in the course. Severan dynasty takes over, and they bankrupt the treasury. Enormous pay raises for the military, try to keep them on the side. But these are not the nicest people. You got Caracalla, who takes over by murdering his brother, and what he does is wipe his name from history. You'll see that on a slide, and in the notes it talks about it. He begins to extend citizenship to everybody in the empire. Why? To gain more followers and people, and really it does ensure an economic crisis there. The Severans did. This is his Julia Augusta, his wife. There, you can see here where Severus and his family. This is and Caracalla has destroyed his brother's image, and they literally would do that, wipe you from history. There, the beginning then is really the capture and death of Emperor Valerian, who's fighting the Persian Sassanid Empire here. They begin to lose key provinces in what is the Middle East, Near East, Anatolia. What happens here, though, is Emperor Valerian is captured in war against the Persians, and that's a problem. The Romans can't get him back. Their leaders captured. He is kept and tortured for a while. Eventually, the Persian emperor actually skins him alive and preserves his skin and displays it next to his throne in Persia. Yeah, Rome has fallen to a new low, as you could see. You have loss of key provinces, which means less money, and we already talked about how that's a problem for Rome already. It gives you an idea how bad things is. Emperor Aurelian and others begin to build walls where there weren't any more, even in the heart of Rome, because that signals that they are vulnerable even there. But yeah, losing your emperor to the Persians and them skinning him alive is really not a good look, and again, a sign that things are bad and things will get worse from here on out. Here's a Persian jewelry depicting the defeat of Valerian by the Persians. Alright, that is the end of the slides for this. Make sure you do the reading, take a look at everything. As always, let me know if you have questions. Alright, good luck, folks. Thank you.